We will be covering Mbappe being left off the Didier Deschamps roster for the French November Nations League squad. We'll talk about City's loss to Sporting. We'll talk about Barcelona and whether or not they are the best team in the world. We'll recap today's European Conference League action, and please stick around for the end of the show where I'll be giving you some of my reactions to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. If you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show successful. Your input is a big part of what makes the show successful, and we thrive on your energies and insights. Whether it's just a quick comment or a thoughtful question or an opinion that you just want to share, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your super chat gets put on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We really rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking, hit that super chat button, and let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We do have to start off with this interesting development with Didier Deschamps. He has left out Kylian Mbappe from the French Nations League squad for this summer. For this November international break, not for the summer, for this November international break, and obviously create some headlines based on Mbappe's form recently, the whole situation with him not being involved with France in the last international window. And yeah, first of all, when Didier Deschamps, number one, he wasn't Didier Deschamps wasn't eager to talk too much about this. He had almost a statement to open up after he announced his squad. And that was about it. He didn't want to go too much into it. He did say it is a one-off decision. This decision was, and the two things that he iterated, after announcing the squad, is that Kylian Mbappe, first of all, he wanted to come. He wanted to come. He wanted to be involved. And that it has nothing to do with some of these Sweden allegations that's been going on. We know the allegations that's been going on over his time in Sweden that he had in that last international break, when he had that break where he was playing for France, and he went out to Sweden and had a little bit of a fun time. And there's some allegations that have been brought against him. It has nothing to do with that, according to what the Deschamps said. He also said some of the reports regarding or when he said he was asked a little more on other situation, he was just gonna say, I'm not gonna argue when I can tell you are these two things. One, that Kylian wanted to come, and two, it's not the extra sporting problem that came into play, since the presumption of innocence exists and must exist. It's a one-off choice for the gathering, and he didn't really discuss it much after. Look, it's an interesting decision. Now, obviously, this decision opens up the headlines in regards to Kylian Mbappe. It really opens up the headlines because, honestly, if you look at the performances for Real Madrid up to this point, they have not been good enough. It's one thing to not be consistent enough, not be clinical in front of goal, and just to miss too many opportunities. But it's another thing that you're not even getting involved in play, that you're barely involved in general play, and you're struggling to get on the ball. That's a whole different thing, and it's been an issue. It's been a massive issue trying to pair him alongside Vinicius and Rodrigo. Ancelotti in the last couple of games have subbed out Rodrigo, and played a front two of Mbappe and Vinicius. See if that works a little bit better. If they have more cohesion. It's looked very poor. It looked really poor in the loss that they suffered to AC Milan, and against it looked really poor in the loss that they suffered against AC Milan, and in the game against Barcelona, uh, Mbappe had a record, or his own personal record, 8 offsides, and didn't really dominate the game at all. In fact, the Real Madrid is the team that got dominated in that one. So there is that aspect to it. The form is not there with Kylian Mbappe, and it's hard to say why exactly the Deschamps is making this decision. He can say one thing, but again, you know why? Hold on. You can say one thing, but again, um, it's just words. We truly do not know exactly why Deschamps left out Mbappe. We can't. If you look at some of the other players uh, that were on the roster, these are key important players like Mike Mignon, Theo Hernandez, um, players that are very important for France. They're on this roster. Um, so I don't know. I don't know why Mbappe is the one that he gets the rest in this one. Um, uh, it really it's a really something that just opens up controversy. And I have to be honest, I forgot I had the list of the squad exactly, and my thing is not coming up. And the crazy thing is, if you look through articles regarding the French squad, nobody's actually talk. Nobody actually says the squad. Everyone is just talking about Mbappe being left out, but nobody actually says this. What the squad is, which I'm trying to find. But yeah, as I was saying though, now I found the squad. Other important key players of this French national team are all involved. You got Camavinga, you got N'Golo Kante, who's back in the mix after not being in the international break last time around. Lucas Disney, Theo Hernandez, not Lucas Disney, actually, he's not a regular, but Theo Hernandez, Jos Kunde, Upamecano, Saliba, Konate, Mike Mignon, key important players, Ousmane Dembele, Colomwani, Olise, Marc Thuram. These are key important players for the French national team now that are in the squad, but for some reason, Mbappe is getting a rest as Didier Deschamps is trying to get us to believe. I don't know. And maybe is this some sort of discipline for the last international break of him, sitting out the last international break, whether it was his decision or not. We don't know about that either. I just don't know. And look, Mbappe's performances has not been good enough for a while now. I think since that the 2022 World Cup, where he had a magnificent World Cup, of course, I think the performance levels of Kylian Mbappe has dropped staggeringly low, and he's been a problem at PSG for a while. But a lot of people wanted to ignore that because there was other issues at PSG there with the contract of Neymar and Messi, who's just his heart was not into it at PSG, and all the issues regarding that circus of a club. Everybody wanted to ignore Mbappe's faults in that equation because, well, there was a lot of other excuses you can point out. But now you're joining a team that just won the Champions League, okay? There's really no excuses here. This is a well-oiled machine, and they've looked pretty poor this season now. If you take a Champions League winner and you add arguably one of the best players in the world, or not arguably one of the best players in the world, but arguably the best player in the world, you're expecting immediate, if not improvement, at least remaining this, similar levels as they were in their previous years. They've gotten worse so far up to this point. Mbappe's performances have been pretty poor as well. And if you're Carlo Ancelotti, you have this formula of how you won Champions League. If you have to resort back to, the lineup that you had last year with playing Vinicius and Rodrigo up together in the front two, if that's what works best, at the end of the day, that's a decision Ancelotti is gonna make because Ancelotti, right now, you want to fit Mbappe in there. You want to make it work. But Ancelotti, he's not going to sit there and watch this Real Madrid team suffer if he knows that the solution is going back to what they know how to do best and how they played last season. Regarding going back to this, though, I don't know what angle to look at it from. I don't know. I'm thinking he just wants Kylian Mbappe to stay at Real Madrid over this break, get get some rest so he can come back firing for Real Madrid, so that his form can improve with Real Madrid. He can get a little bit more cohesion, still staying there. I know all the players will be gone, but he's still going to be at Real Madrid. He's going to come back fit and firing for the game one coming back. And maybe he's just looking out for Mbappe at Real Madrid, trying to get him back to his top level. Because if Mbappe gets back to the top level in club football, then it's gonna resonate on the international level as well. I think club form has a lot to do with how well you perform at the international level. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, what's the likelihood of that's his thinking? What is the likelihood of that's his thinking? He's saying it's a one-off and it's better to leave him out and all that, but I don't know how we can just ignore this and just say, oh, it's just a one-off. Because, yeah, I don't. It's just weird. It's really weird. It's really, really weird.